But I just think that it's a more realistic approach that you okay over there?
We're cracking him up over here.
I'm just thinking of Qui-Gon with like Vegeta-esque scouter just looking around for children. Like,
It just takes a quick blood
my
sample.
God, it's over 9,000.
Let me talk into my Gillette ladies shaver and report back.
We now join our NerdBros as they assemble for the Nerds of New England podcast in 5, 4, 3.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the Nerd Bros Assemble podcast, formerly known as Nerd is the Word, but everything is taken on the internet now, and there is no originality. So we are going by
Nerds of New England podcast.
So I'm joined by my friends and fellow nerds, Peter Brown,
Hey.
Bryan.
What up?
We're missing X today, but that's no big deal. Family things happen. We know this. We're not a real professional thing. We're just a bunch of amateurs having fun doing this because we really love the pop culture and the nerd culture that we all delve into. Today's show, we're going to talk about the Game of Thrones wrap-up. We're also going to talk about Endgame, finally. The spoiler ban has been lifted for quite some time now. It's taking us a little while to get to it, but as I said, we are a bunch of amateurs, so that's what we like to do. But yeah, so how you guys doing? What's going on?
Not much, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can get into Endgame, but I'm looking forward to the Thrones talk because I feel like emotionally distraught after these past 6 weeks of trying to hang on to hope.
Yeah, that's a good teaser. So back to Endgame.
Yeah.
All right, so... well, obviously we all saw it. I've only seen it once. I did really enjoy it. I have heard from numerous people that they didn't like it. They thought it was kind of long and drawn out, but...
Lies.
I can understand, it is 3 hours long. I actually didn't take a pee break the entire time. I made sure I squeeze out whatever urine I had in my bladder beforehand.
The first time I saw it, I didn't take a pee break. The second time I said, I can take a pee break.
Yeah, because, well, you know what was going on.
Exactly.
You wait for that lull in the movie,
Right.
Like, there's just some not so fancy dialogue here. Pee break.
I believe someone had came up online. I think Tim, you may have been the one that told me about it. That had a list of times that was appropriate when you can actually go to the bathroom and not really miss anything.
That's all right. Unbelievable.
Hopefully you did not go to the bathroom during the scene, if anybody was watching it, where a rat basically saves the entire universe. Because if it wasn't for that rat that stepped across the key pads or whatever it was, and Ant-Man's van, we wouldn't have the events that actually unfolded, basically. So.
It was that rat's destiny.
Yeah.
Wow, what a difference.
Well, Thanos fucked up by not snapping that rat away. That's all I gotta say.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he snapped it. It was random, so I mean.
Yeah, it's supposed to be random, 50%.
Yeah, and maybe that was a part of. It's going a little far, but maybe that was a part of the envision that the Sorcerer Supreme had on he saw
yes.
14 million different scenarios, and the one worked. Maybe the one was the one where the rat ran over the little control that let Ant-Man come back.
Oh,
and
so that's what he was referencing when he turned to Tony Stark.
and it went
the
one.
one.
Yeah, the
one
rat
way.
came across. You
Okay.
know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tony Stark being dead, that was the one thing that actually did get me. Obviously, the tearjerker stuff. Nat, she gets overlooked a lot. Black Widow.
Yeah.
The fact that she's gone, obviously, because when you have Tony Stark, who, let's face it, Iron Man really kicked off the entire MCU.
Definitely.
With, you have Happy directing that first movie, Jon Favreau, and all the callbacks to that, all those little things with, his Morgan wanting cheeseburgers, which is a callback to, when Tony first gets out of the terrorist camp.
I want an American cheeseburger.
Yeah, exactly.
American cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up with Burger King.
Yeah.
American as you can get.
That's about it. Yep.
He didn't get paid much for that role, by the way. The first Iron Man movie. Considering. I believe it was somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 for that role.
Wow.
Well, it's because I think at the time the superhero movies weren't bringing in the amount of movies they started bringing in after that fact.
Right, and he was a relatively, he's a danger, right? Not too long beforehand, not too long ago, I should say, he was not really a dependable person. this role really changed him. And in fact, he changed the role itself. His influence as Tony Stark has influenced comic writers, comic book artists, coming up and talking about, how he approached and how he kind of melded himself into Tony Stark. He's being written differently now. He's had a positive effect, obviously, in my personal opinion, on the character. And he's, as we had, the conversation previously in another podcast, he is my favorite Avenger. I like Robert Downey Jr. Anyway, if you haven't seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, do yourself a favor and go see it. That's a phenomenal
Oh yeah,
movie.
I
It's
love
the
it.
definition of idiot, which you fucking are.
He came back from, he had like drug and alcohol problems and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and then he came back, and that's one of those first, like, I don't know if it's a well-known movie, but that's a good movie that he came back and it was, oh, here's Robert Downey Jr. He's back, and they did Tropic Thunder, which is one of the funniest movies I think I've ever seen.
And there was no controversy over his character and his makeup, even though that's like a thing in a lot of things.
I think it was because it was satirical in itself. That's the only reason why I think
it was making fun of blackface.
It was.
The fact that
but I think if it was anyone
else,
it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
he did such a good job of it.
Another thing about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was directed by Shane Black, I believe. If you guys want to double check that on me, you're more than welcome to. I'm known to be wrong. So Shane Black also directed the third Iron Man movie.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So, and Happy, John Favreau directed 1 and 2.
Yeah, he did do Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, on here.
But anyway, moving on. So yeah, we lost Tony. We lost Nat. I kind of understand why some people would be upset. They wanted Hawkeye to go instead of Nat. Disney obviously had a different idea because they have a show lined up for him.
Well, I think you needed those main character losses, and who cares about Hawkeye?
Right, and the thing was, is it was almost being set up too heavy-handed. First of all, I love Jeremy Renner in the role. I actually like Hawkeye as a character. I think he grounds the team and it's necessary. But just in general, I enjoyed the fact that he did live, because they set it up the very opening. It was almost like a cold opening for like a TV show.
Absolutely.
When I was sitting in theater and all of a sudden it was immediately, I was like, oh crap! Like I thought I was going to get another preview, and then here's the movie.
Right.
And his whole family disappears, and obviously everything that he went through, becoming Ronin, basically going on a killing spree. And they set him up for redemption somehow. And I think obviously, there's a big plan with the MCU, so nothing's ever really finalized, and everything's just kind of like a living organism. It just keeps moving. It keeps producing more content. It keeps, producing more storylines and producing more dollars.
I didn't mean to
That's what they're
say
going
like
for.
I didn't mean to say like, who cares about him as a character in general, but as far as like, a member of the team, as someone that could be lost, he's probably the one that they could, and doesn't affect. But I agree. I like the fact that he lived, because I'm a dad. I have 2 kids.
Yeah, he's got a family.
He's got a
Exactly.
family. They just appeared in front of his face.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Could you imagine? I mean, obviously, I don't have children, but I do have family members and I have friends. And if I was at a cookout and went to take a leak, and then I came back and everybody was gone and there was absolutely zero trace of them, then you come to find out that some giant grimace-looking motherfucker snapped his fingers, and then, half the universe is gone and everybody that you cared about was gone. Yeah, I mean...
Absolutely.
And it's not like it was 50% of his family. It was everybody except for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, but I do get it. I am going to miss Natalie as well. But she is getting her own movie, so that's cool.
Yeah, and the 2 of them are getting a show on Disney Plus, aren't they?
I don't know. I honestly don't remember.
I thought I saw something about a Hawkeye and
I mean, I could look up.
Black Widow.
Yeah, man. If you want to go
I
right
could.
ahead.
Well, that's actually. I was going to make a joke. I said I could look up just what's the upcoming Marvel stuff, but I don't know if my laptop here can handle it.
Yeah, just because of
About 50
phase-
million responses.
Oh, dude, they're already in phase 27 right now.
They're going full throttle with it, and
yeah,
there's no slowing down. Although they got to watch it because they're seeing the effects of some of this stuff with Star Wars. Granted, fan base with Star Wars is different. However, though, they got to be careful with it.
They got to be careful.
But I think, like Tim has said before in previous podcasts, they see things and then they take steps to fix them. So hopefully that's what this is.
One thing they are fixing, they are going back and they're going to retcon Scarlet Witch's power abilities.
They're gonna change it so
She's a mutant.
So all right, because shit, I just remember. I saw something online where they may have explained how mutants came about because of a power thing that exploded, and it changed things. But I forget what it is. So I'll try to look it up.
Yeah,
That's cool.
we were gonna do nerd news this week, but there's just too much to talk about with Game of Thrones and Endgame.
It's too exciting.
So tune in next time when we will have the nerd news segment. We'll have all sorts of nerdy stuff. And I also want to say too, before we continue on, if you guys hear anything that we're talking about, and you want to chime in and you're listening to this either on Spotify or on YouTube or whatever it is, reach out to us on our Twitter or our Facebook or our Instagram. Let us know what you thought. If you have any ideas for topics that you want to talk about, send us a message. Let us know what you think, and we'll read that. We'll actually bring that up in the next time that we have a conversation.
Cool.
Yeah, I just think
that'd be fun.
I want to be able to have a little bit more interactive with people who want to listen to us, and show that we pay attention to them as well. The few people that are
Even if you want to give us shit because we have an opinion that you find is crap,
Right.
I especially want to know those.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. They can be wrong all they want because my opinion is most important, obviously.
So I'm on the
well, yeah, of course, of course.
I'm on insider.com.
Okay.
And I don't see anything about a Hawkeye and movie, but they do have WandaVision coming out, which I really think they should work on the title.
WandaVision?
WandaVision.
WandaVision sounds like I don't know, some sort of product from the late 1970s.
Right.
Well, it's like an attachment that you put onto the front of your TV, and it just seems like it would just be some gimmick that would probably cost you the same price as
Buy this TV. Now comes with WandaVision.
Exactly.
Yep.
But anyway, so Endgame, fantastic. 2 thumbs very way up from me. I enjoyed the time heist thing. A couple of things I want to touch on, obviously, other than the deaths and the people that lost and are coming back. Loki, what's going on with him? He's getting his own show. He's bouncing around different timelines. He's in the Space Stone.
All right, so I'm on the Insider website about the Disney Plus shows that are coming out.
Please continue. Let us know.
What they say is the Loki will be another live-action show revolving around everyone's favorite god of mischief.
Who's that?
Loki.
Oh. Sorry.
It's not going to be available for like a year or two. Let's see. It says fans were gutted when Thanos killed Loki at the very start of Avengers: Infinity War. That was the first feels you got when Loki went down. Also, gave you the first questions. He's died before.
Right. Is he coming back or not?
Is he coming back or not? So it says fans were gutted. Yep. I said that. Obviously, we have questions about how this will work. Thanos made it very clear Loki wasn't going to come back via resurrection this time, but he didn't know that things were going to change.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you question: did having the stones on him when he killed him, is that the reason why he's not coming back?
But also, when they did go back, he stole the Tesseract and then disappeared.
Right.
So this is the problem with time.
Well, I mean, the time travel stuff. Yeah, I've actually had to explain this to a couple of people. X actually came by my house one night shortly after Endgame premiered, and he went and he saw it with his girlfriend. They came by and they were trying to. Her name is Monica. Monica was her and I were talking about time travel, and I explained to her how there's different types of time travel. And I said, obviously we have Back to the Future time travel, right?
My favorite. Which
is linear. Everything that you do in the past has a direct impact on the future. It's only one universe. There's only one timeline. There's only one dimension. Now, another example of that would be Homer Simpson in the Treehouse of Horror, when he accidentally makes a time machine out of a toaster, and then he runs around. Yes. Yeah, he's like, don't touch anything. I'll touch anything I didn't want. And he just like runs around, and you get the I wish I didn't squish that fish. All those lines that are perfect. That's again another linear timeline. And then of course there's Futurama, which is a cyclical timeline. We actually have an example of a cyclical timeline. Of course, we know that in Futurama,
is it both? Is it linear and cyclical?
It is linear and cyclical. Except that when the new timeline starts, it's the entire universe is 10 feet lower each time.
Yeah, right.
That's the one.
That's
thing.
right. Yeah, that's how it ends.
That's how
Does it
ends.
also reset?
Yes, it does.
So it's
So it resets, but it's 10 feet lower.
yeah. All right.
Which is weird. And then obviously we have the Dragon Ball Z. Anybody who knows me, I have a shrine in my house. But yeah, I'm a huge DBZ nerd. And the whole Trunks thing with the alternate timelines and having different branches, and if you travel through time, and actually Future Man, if you haven't watched it on Hulu, that's another example of one that has parallel universes, multiple universes, multiverse. It's the whole idea that there is infinite number of universes, and when you start ranking time travel, it's kind of crazy. So I try to explain that using the quantum tunneling, they can go back to specific times past where branches would break off to create alternate timelines to the original source, to the original timeline, which is where everything was, and put the stones back. She understood. She was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, but it's a little confusing. And that is the problem when you do time travel. You're going to have confused people. It doesn't always click. And I mean, especially if you're going to start doing things like, alternate timelines, and not everything is the same. But my other question is now that they did this, are we actually getting a multiverse? Are we? Because I mean, Far From Home mentions it.
Well, at least as far as the comics are concerned, and even some of those old cartoons, they always, at one point or another, after 2 or 3 seasons, it's like, well, okay, here comes the multiverse, and now you can incorporate, like the Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
It was like, 6 or something different actual timelines, and brought all those individual Spider-Men together, and each one of them was a little bit different, and one of them was like Spider-Man the actor, and one of them was Rich Spider-Man, and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse kind of plays on that, right?
Wait, is that canon?
What, Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah. Like,
know
is
what?
that MCU canon? Because if that's MCU canon, then yes, multiverse is a thing.
I honestly don't know, but I still say that it's probably one of the better comic book movies that's ever been made.
I also want to say that with that multiverse theory, right now, there is an Earth where the 3 of us are talking about a podcast about yarn work.
Yarn work or yard work?
I mean, technically both.
Yeah. If you know me, yard work's not in the question. That's not happening.
No, my landlord does the yard work because it's his yard.
Right. I hire people because I'm lazy. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I actually saw something where Mysterio talks about there being alternate universes, and I think I heard that he even brings up 616, which is the main universe in Marvel. So, but some people think that it's a lie.
Didn't Fury say that he's not from this Earth?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that I would think, unless that's a fake
Right.
trailer that they made, then I would think that's a firm.
A fake
Multiverse.
trailer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mysterio is also a big fat liar. So
Well, yeah, his name's Mysterio.
he's not Mysterion.
No, Mysterio.
Mysterio.
Fishbowl on his head, purple cape.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a special effects guru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's those little hollow cubes and yeah.
Exactly. So, what do you think about Fat Thor? What was your guys? So this is a really good positive.
Loved
I
him.
think Fat Thor was amazing. Not only was he absolutely hilarious, but it, just like with Tony Stark and having PTSD after the events of New York, it brings the human element
Love
to
this.
Thor, because Thor loved Midgard.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought Asgard to Midgard. That's where he chose to bring his people.
Mm-hmm.
And this shows exactly how much of an impact Thanos had on him. And look, he's how many years old?
Yeah,
and has
15.
seen how much, and this is what made
Said he
him go,
was
fuck it, I'm done.
1,500 years old and killed twice as many people as he's been alive. And the thing, he's lost everyone.
Mhm.
He lost his brother. He lost his mother. He lost his father. He lost his sister. He lost friggin' Asgard. Half the people disappear. He gets his chance, but because of his own hubris and because of his own problems, he can't make the killing blow because he wants to make him suffer.
He started something with Valkyrie, and then she dis-fucking-peared for an entire movie,
Yeah.
and then reappeared and just was giving him attitude.
Yeah,
so
that's-
there's that too.
That's kind of the continuity issues, obviously, of some movies, but
It's a minor thing.
Yeah.
When it comes
I mean,
down
well,
to it.
it's just weird because they get on a ship,
yeah.
and the ship goes out of the atmosphere, and Thanos is right there, and then
Yeah.
they start the next with Thanos already boarded their ship. Where were those characters?
So, from what I understand, what was said in the movie is half his people were killed on the ship. So that means that half got away, and then they did the snap. So half of a half.
So quarters left.
Yeah, quarter of people of Asgard are left, essentially.
And that's where they colonized that new Asgard that
Yeah,
they're, that
which apparently
Thor
was
lives in.
mostly CG, which was done.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that.
Wow.
Was,
I don't know. I figure
exactly.
you could have just found a fishing village in Norway that would have looked
Nope.
perfect. Yeah.
Mostly CG, which is great computer graphics. What I really loved about, you touched on it, the fat Thor. It's a human aspect, or it really is of, well, I lost everything. I'm depressed. I'm gonna self-medicate with food and alcohol
And video games.
Yeah, I know. It's like he peered into my soul and found himself, and then just stayed there for a while. And I get it. And I had some people who I've heard who are really upset that they turned him into a joke. And I said, you have to realize that some people just use humor as it's a shield, it's a defense mechanism. And then with all the other things, and I loved the fact that as he became worthy again, so to speak, and he got those long braids, and he was still fat.
He was still fat though. I half expected when he grabbed it and the lightning came and his uniform came on. I expected him to be like back to like and nope, was still fat Thor, but he had the braid in his beard, which I thought was awesome.
Right. I didn't like how they didn't let him do the snap, because technically he was All Father Thor or Odin Force Thor, whatever they want to use him as, designate him as. He's one of the most powerful beings in the entire universe at that point in time. He, without doubt, could have handled the snap.
He probably could have taken the stones, all of them, in his hands and went, this is what I want.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Professor Hulk?
Oh,
Awesome.
Probably my favorite part of the entire movie. That it was Hulk with just like a little bit more of a human face and such a calm demeanor that was hilarious the entire movie. I loved it.
Honestly, for me, it practically justified, even that it's not MCU, but starting from that first Hulk movie, where he was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the things shot him and stuff like that. And then it went to the next one and the next one. I think it actually, if you look at the continuity of those movies, again, disregarding the fact that the first one's not in the MCU, it actually shows a character growth from the Hulk. Turning, like, his rage is getting lower and lower. His control's getting more and more. He's learning how to do more. Ragnarok, he can talk. My
question is obvious. I've heard that his wounded arm is pretty much going to stick around. Like, he's not going to heal. But I think that's kind of a little bit of a bait, because I think you're going to get Worldbreaker Hulk or something along those lines down the road where he loses it. And when Hulk goes into full rage mode, he goes into full healing mode, and I don't think he's gonna stay Gimp strong hand arm for.
You're talking like Hulk versus kind of method.
I don't know,
goes
but
after Thor and Wolverine.
Didn't that lead up to Hulk getting kicked off of Earth in the first place, which is kind of what they used for Ragnarok?
Yeah, it is, but again,
it's different.
Yeah, they cherry pick all the time. They really do. They find stories that work. And I mean, when you have such a vast library to choose from of all these stories and characters, it makes it pretty easy. So yeah, we got Fat Thor. We got a Professor Hulk. So obviously, the one thing that made me literally audibly cheer out in theater was when Cap got that.
Oh yeah.
Mjolnir
that was fantastic.
Doing combos with himself with Mjolnir and the shield, like
so dope. Oh my god, that was probably
the highlight of the whole movie for me.
It was amazing.
And
the Avengers assemble,
and Thor going, I knew it.
Yeah, he's like, I knew he was worthy.
So I think what this means is when they were all joking around at the end of the first Avengers movie, I believe, and trying to pick up...
That was the beginning of Ultron.
And they're trying to pick up the hammer, and Cap moved it ever so slightly. I think he felt that it moved and stopped.
Right.
Just so no one else could see it, because Thor was the only one that picked up on it.
See, I think what happened was he was almost worthy.
That makes sense.
When he lost his title as captain... right? He was humbled, and when he finally basically admitted what he knew about what happened with Tony's parents and Bucky, all those things, the weight came off. He was finally able to be worthy again. Well, not again, but finally able to wield Mjolnir, because it's not like this infinitely heavy hammer. Actually, it's in the comic books. I think it's like actually only 40 pounds or something like that.
Right. It's just got a spell on it.
Right.
And then, Cap was able to wield it. Vision.
Yep.
Also able to hold it.
Yeah.
I never, but at least from my own perspective, I never really look at Vision as worthy or unworthy. He
He's a
just
machine,
is.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's right. He is a machine, but
He has.
I don't know. Oh, so
he
strange.
has conscious thought and he has morality, and that's what the spell does. It can sense whether you're good.
Well, you put it in an elevator, and the elevator lifts it up. Is it the elevator worthy?
It's not a sentient being.
Yeah.
It's controlled by a button. So I would say no.
Okay. all right.
Yeah. That's I am pedantic and that's a BS.
The Otis Elevator Company might disagree with you, but yeah, I just wanted to just obviously make a joke of that. Yeah, I think that's one character though I'm not going to miss. Vision. And nothing against Paul Bettany. I really did enjoy him.
I miss him as Jarvis more
Yeah.
than I miss Vision.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get Stark tech? Do you think we're gonna get the Stark AI?
See, because he uploads his consciousness.
Yeah. Instead of Friday, do you think that Robert Downey Jr. will stick around and do voiceover work?
I mean, he obviously, everybody would probably accept it if he chose to do that, but he's probably going to try to veer away from it.
You think
Only if they make it that it is actually he transported his consciousness in there, because I think the mental toll that'll take on Peter Parker hearing Tony in his voice and it not actually being Tony. I mean, look at that trailer that came out that he started saying, "Hey, this is a spoiler. Like, don't watch it if you haven't seen Endgame."
Yeah.
But like, you saw how he was bawling
he
before
was
that scene.
devastated.
Like,
Yeah.
right? He that would destroy him.
Man. By the way, I love you 3000. That's something that Robert Downey Jr. says to his kids.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
another example of the man bringing who he is into the work.
Is it all? Is there any credit to the people saying that you tally up all of the movies and that also equals up to 3,000?
I have no idea, but I know that's what he says to his kids, and that's something that they said together, and that's something that he worked in with them. He was the only person who actually got the full script too for Endgame.
Yeah, I think Infinity War as well.
So I guess my next thing is Cap, right? Old man Cap.
Old Cap.
How did he get there? These are the other plot holes, right? The people think that he put all the stones back, went back in time, maybe met up with Hank Pym, got some more Pym particles, waited till Peggy died of natural causes, hopped back in the quantum whatever what's it, and then made his way back to that very point in time. Thing is he wasn't wearing a suit. Other people think that he lived his life in that universe, in an alternate timeline. Not an alternate timeline, in that timeline. But that doesn't make any sense.
There, in my opinion, there have been two Caps.
Really?
The two children, they never reference, they never show the husband.
Okay.
He is that mystery man that she married.
Oh.
He is the father of those two children.
Interesting.
And there are two people out there with super soldier DNA in them.
Black Cat, right?
So
they could work that in because she.
they made it because it was a mystery.
And Black Cat would be good to bring in now because we do have Spider-Man in the MCU. I would like to see some other. See, Spider-Man has some great villains and it's got some great characters in it. Obviously, so does X-Men, but that's been kind of worked since the early 2000s. I'd like to see some. Seeing the Vulture with Michael Keaton, that was all fantastic.
Well, I like
So
the
awesome.
fact that they're not going to just go, all right, so you had so many Spider-Man movies, and every one of them was Green Goblin this and Green Goblin that. I get so tired of it. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh, the Vulture's in this one. Michael Keaton. So who's the bad guy? It's just the Vulture.
Yeah.
Just him. Awesome.
Yeah, and then you have the reveal as him being, you know, the father of Peter's crush.
I didn't see that coming.
No one did, and then it was so good. It was so good, and it was done well. But you know, Peter, yeah, I really do. You feel bad for Peter. You feel bad for the whole thing. You know, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, what happened to Peter's class? He went back to school up to 5 years, and all the kids." It's like a simple answer. Enough. All of them got snapped away. This is called plot armor. These are
Well, here's the thing. That happened.
Yeah.
So it happened. So people are going to have to figure out how things are going to go. There are going to be people that are going to be snapped back that, hey, I lived in this house. Now, well, I've been living in it for 5 years. This is going to be something that people are going to have to figure out.
Right.
Do you want to fucking make a movie where they concentrate on how they figure out with all the logistics on how to handle things? No.
That would be
But
ridiculous.
Just because it's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with doesn't mean that it's a plot hole.
the only movie that I want to see is another Captain America movie with him putting all the stones back in place.
Yeah, and seeing the Red Skull.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Like, oh, fuck, you're still alive?
It's like, what is going on here? And then all of a sudden, it's, you know, Cap coming face to face with Ghost Red Skull. That'd be pretty crazy.
I'm cursed for all eternity, and you're still fucking here?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what happens. That is. That is.
If you haven't noticed, the stupidity of that as being a plot hole
Yeah.
just
Drives you nuts.
It grinds my gears.
Well, it should. Because some people... So here's the thing. Everybody wants... You know, I bitched about this a couple podcasts ago about how everybody wants everything to be perfect. Mm-hmm. I don't have no idea where this came from.
What, the perfection thing?
Yeah.
The internet.
But it's... You know, some things, the reason why they're fantastic are because they're not perfect.
Because they're flawed.
Yeah. Right?
Depends on the flaw.
Yeah, I mean, well, people become so heavily invested in it. Entertainment now, I mean, compared to 50 years ago, it's night and day.
Yeah.
So when people had content from a book or a TV show way back, you know, it didn't make a cultural thing. Nowadays, it's like every movie is a cultural movement. Obviously, the Marvel stuff, Star Wars, Game of Thrones. Like, look at how people. We're gonna get into it, I know, but like, look at how people have responded to this last season. It's just like, I mean, you look at a YouTube video, it'll just be some random guy talking about just some base, and it'll have 300,000 views because people were going nuts over this last season. Look how heavily it impacted the everyday person. Yeah, I mean, it's a TV show.
And that's a great teaser, and we'll get to it. But back to Endgame.
Had to make my point.
I know.
Had to make that
I
point.
want to get there too. I do, but we. So, Game of Thrones aside, Endgame we're talking about right now. Obviously, the fact that people need it to be perfect drives me insane. You have to also use some deductive abilities of your own.
That's it. And the reason why it pisses me off is because it's lazy analysis.
Yep.
Like, take 2 fucking seconds and think about look at don't have tunnel vision on the problem you see, and just look around it and see if maybe there's a reason why it makes fucking sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to use your brain a little bit more, right?
Is it? So it's all entertainment. So when someone is getting to the level of just hyper nitpicking, and like Bryan was saying, like that tunnel vision, blinders on, I'm just finding gaps. It's like, well, is it really entertainment to that individual at that time?
No.
I mean, because it's like you're taking something that would be naturally entertaining and almost kind of just, I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, just sucking the fun right out of it.
That's what makes it fun for them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The fun isn't the entertainment. The fun is ruining the entertainment for the other people.
I think it's a mixture of that and them wanting perfection.
Yeah.
Not just perfection, their perfection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing, like, if you don't get your perfection, then don't fucking watch it.
Right.
I'll use a perfect example. I read Preacher, and I know I've said this, I probably said this in the podcast. I know I've said this to my friends a million times.
At least 1.5 million.
I can't stand the show. But guess what? I don't watch it. I don't even really talk about it.
Yeah.
I liked the comic, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I started reading The Walking Dead before the show came out, okay? And really enjoyed The Walking Dead. I watched the first season. Obviously, the the first season was really good. The first few seasons are really good, and then it kind of dies down, and The story doesn't follow the comic books exactly, but and I'm okay
There's
with that.
only so much, running away from the zombies that you can take.
That actually brings me to another point, and I've been saying this for a long time now, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it again.
Say it.
Everything, just like zombies are a perfect example,
Yes.
because fans want something, the production companies, studios, all that stuff are going to give it to them, and then you end up with a genre that gets completely worn out, completely just
Played to death.
Yeah, played to death, because then it's, that's what I've always worried about this Marvel stuff. It's like, okay, you got movie after movie and show after show. I wonder how long that they can really sustain this before people go, superheroes are cool, but I want something different.
A lot of people are already sick of it. But if you do it successfully the way that Marvel has, it started with Blade, believe it or not. Marvel's success. It was Marvel
absolutely.
Studios.
Yep.
Or Marvel Film Studios or whatever it was. It started with Blade, which is a rated R movie, and his trilogy, and then eventually, we worked our way to Iron Man, and that's when everything kind of really solidified itself as being fantastic. And it's had its hits and misses. You've had your Thor: Dark Worlds, and I would say to a lesser extent Captain Marvels, but obviously you have things like the Winter Soldier and Infinity War and Endgame, which are arguably really good movies. They're not going to win Oscars or anything like that for best directing or best acting or anything like that, but they're still very good, entertaining movies. And as long as it's entertaining, as long as the source is good, and as long as people aren't overly fatigued, you will have a market for those that, like myself, I'll still go to them if it's good. I'm probably not going to be up on, going to every single one in theater now. Now that Endgame is finished, that's actually something that, with Tony gone and with Cap gone, it's not like I don't feel like I can't connect with any of the characters. I can. It's not that I don't like the ones that are left. I do. It's just that those guys in those roles were perfect fit. It's going to be hard to replace them. It's going to be hard to hold my attention. It's going to be hard for me to go to a theater and feel invested when I have Captain Boring on screen, who never feels like she's any real danger, or it's just I just don't like that character in general. I've never liked it in the comic books. I just find her boring and annoying. I mean,
she's just OP.
It's a Superman factor.
Yeah. It's Superman of Marvel.
Yeah.
The best version of her, like I said in a previous podcast, was when she
Rogue.
was sucked into Rogue.
Yeah, that's because Rogue is flawed. Yeah, exactly.
And Rogue is a better character. So.
Yeah, she's much better.
I would
character.
agree.
Yeah. But I mean, like Black Panther, super cool. I mean, I did really, really, really enjoy the first movie. I'm interested in seeing the second one. Can't wait to see Doctor Strange 2. I love Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I like his role. Yep.
He's just a great actor.
It's really a little bit of I consider Doctor Strange to be an underrated Marvel movie. It's not talked about much, but I love it. I really enjoyed it.
It's high fantasy, but also sci-fi.
He had the quickest character growth as well as in any of the characters. He went from just arrogant asshole to arrogant sorcerer.
Right.
I mean, he's still arrogant, and he's sassy as fuck. But I mean, he's not.
Yeah, but that's a testament to Benedict Cumberbatch in the role. That's a testament to someone who can act his ass off.
Absolutely. Just don't ask him to say penguins.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I was just talking to Bryan earlier today about. I keep watching Sherlock. It's on Netflix. Definitely give it a watch. If you watch it enough, maybe they'll make a series. I would love to see that, a fifth series of Sherlock. But so. Are you guys happy with how it ended? Did you enjoy Endgame? Are you excited for what's going to come next? Is there any Easter egg or anything that you saw that stuck out to you? A lot. I know that there's, like we talked about, the fatigue of this, but is there anything that's kind of like, really stuck out to you?
I like. Oh, it's a minor thing, but I do like Cap giving over his shield to the Falcon. I was like, he's his buddy anyway for the past several movies, and it's just a cool transition to be like, yeah, you give him the shield. I thought it was better to give him the shield than it would be to give it to Bucky.
Yeah, because Bucky's been out of the game for a while. Yeah, let him become the White Wolf.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and I like that that they kind of foreshadowed it as well, because after the events of the snap. Cap was leading a support group to people that obviously lost a lot of people in their lives,
Right.
and that's exactly what happened after he met Sam for the first time. Running around the in DC.
Yep.
And then he goes in, sees the support group that he's in. So I think that was like an homage to him, and then he
Right.
came back. He was like,
Did you see
This is
all
perfect.
the barbecue Beckys really upset that the new Captain America is going to be black?
I think I
What?
sent you that meme.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with this.
okay, so barbecue Becky is this woman who I forget where I don't know.
It's like New York or some
Yeah.
crap like that.
Okay.
Basically, this the African American or black family, they're having like a cookout, and they have there's no big deal.
It's a public park where they have
Grills
there's
and
grills
stuff.
there.
Okay.
She is freaking out that they're like basically getting together, and so she like calls the police, and they like videotape her basically being a racist asshole.
And then she
okay.
ends up crying at the
Yeah.
end, like, because she's
Oh,
the victim.
jeez.
Yeah, so it's just this huge meme now.
Yeah.
Oh, so that all right.
Yeah,
so they were like,
so-
yeah, and she disapproves of.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's because they're black, but get over it. It happened
Jeez.
in the comic books, and
Yeah.
who gives a shit?
Even
yes.
Spider-Man becomes Miles Morales.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
black. I mean,
And they've already
whatever.
done that in the big screen.
I know. So stupid. But
don't
yeah, I enjoyed it. Avengers Endgame, 2 thumbs way up. It is, in my personal opinion, a great way to end. Unlike, however,
Good transition.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
It did not.
Yeah, that's about what it had going for it this last season. The music was amazing.
Oh yeah, actually, you know what? You're right. The music, the visuals, the
Yes.
visual effects team were spot on and pissa.
The acting in this season specifically, I thought was like phenomenal, especially because the writing. I think that's the writing, not
that's the writing,
not
yeah.
John. So the writing was poor, but the actors did fucking everything they could to make it good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to preface this by saying this. Pete and I, Brian and I, we've talked off air, obviously, because we're friends. We don't just get together every 2 weeks and talk, play radio. We actually, hang out a lot. Actually, they were at my birthday party last night. Again, thank you for coming out, guys. That was really
Yeah, no
fun.
problem.
It
It
was
a blast.
fun.
Shout out to Free Play Arcade in Providence, Rhode Island. It's a cover charge. If you're 21 and older, there are free video games from the 1980s into the early 90s, even in the early 2000s. Real cabinets, not fake stuff, real pinball machines, good beer, good flatbed bread pizza. Had a lot of fun. But anyway, this season was cut short, and it was a problem because HBO actually wanted 10 seasons, and George R.R. Martin also wanted more seasons. He argued with them for 10, and he ended up getting 8. They originally wanted to do 6. So the problem that I'm going to bring this to is we have a big carrot that was dangled in front of D&D, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, and that being Star Wars. And this is the problem that I have with Disney. Being as evil and as corrupt as they are, they ruin
This
things.
is not Disney's fault. This is
Disney's
Benioff and DB Weiss's fault.
This is
100
Disney's fault!
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well, you know its fault it really is?
Who?
Just cash. I mean, because that's really all this
greed.
came down to is cash.
Do you think? Okay, so son of a bitch. Okay, so basically,
Focusing, you
I
got
know, and
this.
I gotta focus. Okay, so this season should have been one thing and one thing only: the Night King. It should have all been about the Night King. It should have come to the end. And you know what? I think personally, John should have won. He should have killed the Night King. Like a lot of people say, oh, they subverted expectations. It's another problem with Disney,
Lazy.
and Kathleen Kennedy, and Ryan Johnson taking something that you think is supposed to happen and changing the outcome to subvert expectations. Bullshit. John, his entire story was leading up to this point. What could have happened was, as we've discussed, the Viserion, Ice Viserion, is blowing the blue flames everywhere. John doesn't know what's going on, but he needs to get to Bran. So what's he do? He makes a dash. He runs, and in the process, he gets hit with a flame blast. But as he's coming around the corner, you realize that half of his clothing is burnt off, but he's not singed at all. He's unburnt. And you're like, what the hell's happening? People see this happen. Some people do. And then he gets in a fight, hand-to-hand combat with the Night King. They start fighting, and then next thing you know, he gets the upper hand, and then you have the other White Walkers, the generals, I guess you could say, try to step in. And who comes out the cut? Ooh, Arya! She comes out the cut with some dragon glass daggers, fucks some dudes up, and it makes enough of a chance for the Night King to become distracted for John to lay a killing blow. Boom. And you could have ended it. You could have ended it at the end of this. You could have had so much build up to this point. You could have shown all these, design plans for the battle. You could have still had a battle that was 80-something minutes long. That's fine. Season 8 should have been all about the Ice King, the Night King. Season 9, Daenerys, the Mad Queen, the rise and fall of the Mad Queen. She is a phenomenal actor, Emilia Clarke. Allow the evolution of her character to come true fruition.
They rushed
This is how good
everything
of
with that.
an actor she is.
Yeah.
She hated the way
Yeah.
like things progressed, but yet played it
Yeah, she did it right.
perfectly.
She did. And then you have the 10th season. Could have been 4 episodes. Who gives a shit? And then you just show how things wind up, and then you can lead into it. You can have a teaser trailer for your prequel series or whatever it is. I'm just upset as a huge fan that it was overlooked and it was rushed. And as a fan of the Starks, I was happy with how it essentially with how they ended up. You have Jon as the king beyond the wall. You have
Arya's the pirate queen.
yeah, and you
Well,
have
they didn't specify that John's even like king beyond the
He
wall.
is.
I mean, he's like,
With
yeah. I mean,
imagery.
you would assume he's probably going to become that.
yeah.
But they say he's he's gonna go take the black. By the way,
There's no need for it.
There's no Night Watch
well,
anymore.
it's not even so much that is that Grey Worm was the one that they were having the argument with. He's like, well, he killed our queen, so we're not, he needs to be executed. It's like, well, we'll make the deal. He goes to the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're gonna go to Nath. Okay, so then they like hop on their ships and go. Why wouldn't you just be like, hey, Jon, like you can do whatever you
I
want.
think-
It's only the Unsullied who are trying to kill
I
you.
honestly think that he was just done, period. Because if you follow his story from the beginning, he wanted to join the Night's Watch when he was obviously still just a bastard, right?
Right.
And with his uncle Benjen, oh, take me, I want to go. And so he goes to the North because he's had 2 female loves of his life. Ygritte, who died in his arms, and Dany, who died in his arms.
Right.
So to him, having a woman isn't important, right? To him, what's important is freedom and true freedom. And he was the most free when he was beyond the wall. That's where he's most comfortable. It's obvious. Like, even in his arc. I don't think that he didn't want the throne. And that's why I'm okay with Bran becoming king. I know some people hate that. But
yeah.
but I don't really have an issue with that.
I have an issue because it's like Bran's like that person in school that is in your group and does fucking nothing, and then at the end gets the fucking A anyway. Fuck Bran.
That is perfect.
I don't really want anymore. Yeah, you fucking do. You wanted the fucking throne the whole time
Why
because
do
you
you
saw it
think
and you
I'm
sat there.
here?
And how many people died because of that little invalid asshole couldn't get there?
And then you have D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. Well, we kind of forgot that Bran...
Those are the best. Those are the best memes out there right now. I absolutely love them.
We kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
The bells reminded her of her embarrassing walk from for atonement. We kind of forgot that was Cersei and not Daenerys.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's so true. Well, when you watch some of those extended, what do they call it? Behind the show, behind the
yeah.
thrones,
You know,
whatever
they're
they call it.
talking about
And that's
what-
the stuff, like, especially with this season. I've watched them all from some of the past seasons, but
Yeah.
this season, like, I'm getting, irritated with episodes, and then I'd watch that, and then every time one of those guys pops up and explains a decision that they made about the plot or a specific character, I'm just like pulling my hair out, going, "Why on earth would you do that?"
Pet the damn dog, John.
Yes.
It's like you get your blood just boils all of a sudden. Your blood pressure's up, and you're like, son of a bitch.
Yep.
Well, I was like, okay, so like the show starts and I'm like, yeah, this is good, and then Arya kills the Night King, and I'm okay, I was okay with it, and then the show ended. And they laid out so many plans, and they pulled the rug underneath us for multiple.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple things.
Absolutely.
You can't do that. That's lazy fucking writing.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to do that to one storyline, yeah, that's called a twist.
Dude, it wasn't just lazy writing. From people say that, oh, the coffee cup was an Easter egg or it was supposed to be funny. It
No,
wasn't.
we came up with what
Yeah.
it was.
You know what it is? What happens is when you're a producer or a director, and I've got a friend, his name is Marcus. Marcus does his directs movies. He does that sort of stuff. He's a very funny guy, horror stuff. But I'm sure that he watches every single frame, and he loves his craft. and he pays attention to every little thing. If you have in your last season, which is 6 episodes, you not only have 1 coffee cup in clear view, but 2 water bottles, that just shows lack of care. It shows that you didn't watch it. You didn't really give a shit what was happening because you're sitting there waiting to cash that check from Star Wars.
Right, like season 1, it had some dude walking past in like regular pants.
Yeah.
That's fine because that was the beginning. Their budget was lower. They weren't sure exactly what was going to happen with the show. And then the show kicked off, so the production went up.
Speaking of season 1, I still love this series. I think
of course.
Seasons 1 through 4 best. I'm rewatching it 1 episode a night. Sorry, continue. I'm on season 1.
So what Tim and I were speaking of the like last week or something
I think
like that.
so, yeah.
So my thought was all these were on purpose just to get chatter about the show.
Yeah.
In that conversation, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
What I think it was is the production team being pissed off at DB Weiss and Benioff for throwing away what HBO wanted to do for 2 more seasons,
Yeah.
which means 2 more seasons of guaranteed work and high-paying jobs.
Just give me 6 more fucking episodes if
So-
you're gonna kill it in one season.
So what they did was they were like, we're just gonna leave that. We noticed it, but we're just gonna leave it. They're not even gonna fucking notice. Watch.
Everybody saw it.
And Benioff and DB Weiss missed it themselves because they didn't give a fuck because they didn't do their job to do the final sign off, and that's what it was.
I would honestly, I think you're onto something. Yeah, they put a ton of work in this season into the composer. I cannot pronounce his name.
It's okay.
Nevertheless,
I don't even know what it is.
fantastic job on the scores, the set production, everything like that. I
Oh, the
watched
CG was ridiculous.
well, just the amount of work that went into the whole burning of King's Landing and the making of all the sets. So in other words, the production teams, the people who make this stuff, put so much effort, so much heart and soul into it. And then I end up being just really surprised that that's the plot that you get. So it's almost like all these guys put all this work into it, and you kind of let them down with a little bit of a crappy storyline, in my opinion.
That's why that's my point. Like Tim and I were talking, and he was talking about how everything people gave up and quit and stuff like that. And my point was, no, it was 2 people that gave up, 2 people that quit. It was DB Weiss and it was Benioff.
Yeah.
And that's it. The production team, everyone else, they still wanted to do their fucking job.
I mean, that scene where Daenerys, obviously she just killed she just killed everybody, lit the whole city on fire, and then she's walking up and you can see the dragon's like wings behind her, and it just looks like she almost looks demonic in a way with that.
With the black, and
Yeah.
she very, very progressively went from wearing light clothes
Yes.
to dark clothes.
Yes.
So they used imagery great, but the what they didn't use was timing.
No, you that's the problem. You have a show that used whole seasons. Let's say it, like season 4 and 5, they were great seasons, but they were drawn up. Sometimes it felt like it was going pretty slow. The show itself.
A lot of dialogue, a lot of small council meetings kind of
That's-
stuff, which
that's-
I love those moments.
That's
though.
the problem, right? When you have a television series and you have a series that is based off of, talks of betrayal, walking through gardens, and all that sorts of shit, as South Park likes to make reference to, you build this story, you build the expectation of a certain product that you've been feeding people for 7 seasons. Season 7 was a little rushed. It was a little fan servicey.
Yeah.
People took notice of it. And then this season is cut short. So we're like, okay, we're getting 6 episodes. We're going to have a phenomenal season. They're going to end it right. They didn't.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all about like they set up the pacing in throughout the whole season, the whole show. And then you can't end it in a pace by like up in the RPMs, to the 3 times what it's supposed to be. That's not what you set up.
No, it's not. And so, all right, I don't want to jump around too much, but I want to go back to other things that could have happened. So what also could have happened is in the throne room where Jon is seeing Dany, you could have had Grey Worm there with her, and they're together, and then she's talking about, everything that happened, and Jon goes, they were children. Did you have to kill the children? And they end up kind of getting in an argument, and next thing you know, Jon looks like he's going to kill her. Like you could tell that Jon is going to murder her. in a very similar way. But before he does, spear comes through her back and out through her chest. You see it, and it's Grey Worm. You're like, what the fuck? And then Arya takes the face off, and she killed Grey Worm. She took Grey Worm's place, and then
you can do that. Yeah.
And then she makes her exit. Right, Drogon flies in and burns them both. Well, not Arya, but I mean like Daenerys, and because Jon's right there, so she hits him with fire. And as he's getting hit with fire right in front of the Iron Throne, and it starts to melt, people walk in and they see this, and there he is, buck-ass naked to the world, that he's Aegon Targaryen.
And that I was actually going to bring this up because this is what we spoke about the other day too. Because I wouldn't have wanted Jon to be burned by the dragon during the long night episode when he was fighting the Night King in your perfect.
I just think it's like a sneak peek, like, oh, what's that?
Oh, so like he gets a heads up. Well, his heads up is he already knows that he's a Targaryen.
Well, he already knows that he can't die from being stabbed.
Well, he
that's
can die.
also
He can
true.
just get brought back by the Lord of Light.
Yeah. But what I wanted to happen was when Jon, like, I do like your Arya takes Grey Worm. My only question on that is, what are the extents of the faceless powers? Like, I'm thinking back to D&D, and there are spells you can do, but you can only be a foot taller. You can only be you can only change your appearance so much. Like, how much tall? Arya's short.
I know Arya's short, but
so if she put a faceless, is she gonna be as tall as Grey Worm?
Or is maybe like we talked about?
Arya just forgot that she had those powers.
We kind of forgot that Arya used to take people's faces off and murder them.
We kind of forgot that was a main part of her storyline.
That's such bullshit. I can't. I really am upset. I mean, I don't normally. Okay, so I nerd rage out about shit all the time, but this is actually something that it does bother me, because I fell in love with a lot of these characters. I fell in love with this show. It was just done so well for so long, and then next thing you know, we have it end on such a sour, disappointing note. Now, that being said, episode 5, which is considered one of the worst episodes in Game of Thrones history, was extremely entertaining. But just because something's entertaining doesn't mean it's good. I can watch a guy getting hit in the balls with a wiffle ball bat over and over and over again, and that's entertaining to me because I think it's funny as hell, but that doesn't mean that there's any actual substance to it.
Right. Yeah, season 5 had a lot of that. Sons of the Harpy, lots of the Light of the Seven. What were those guys? The whole the Sparrow, and all his little buddies. So I didn't particularly like those storylines. I thought they were a little bit boring. They were dragged out for a long time. You give the Sparrows that much power, and Tommen just won't do anything about Marjorie getting arrested and all that stuff.
It would have been fine if they cut it down a little bit. If you want to have that in there, but as long as it was, you're the fucking king.
Right.
Do something, you pussy.
Well, that's the thing. He was a pussy, and he didn't do anything. But this is exactly right. You had all these things, these storylines that are drawn out, and yet you're going to take things to try to end them as abruptly as you did. It's just I don't know. Okay, so that being said,
I'm gonna interrupt you, and I'm
go right ahead.
I'm gonna go back to what I had been saying. So when Jon killed Dany, first when they started kissing, in my head I'm going, he better fucking do something right now.
Everybody knew he was gonna at that point.
Well, I mean, I think it was torn on what he was gonna do. I wasn't sure. I hoped that he was gonna do something because he had already shown that he wasn't down with the incest thing, even though she didn't really care.
To touch on that, just hold your thought. What I want to say is I watching the first season again, when he goes to the wall for the first time and he's confessing to Sam that he's never been with a woman. It's because he doesn't know who his mother was, right? It could have been a whore, it could have been anybody. So something
that makes a lot of sense.
So the incest thing to him is very, very wrong. So when he finally figures it out, you can see that he still loves Daenerys, but it bothers him. He can't work around it. I mean, granted, he could have saved thousands of people if he just beat his Annie's cheeks just that one time. and then he wouldn't have had to.
Well, how many people would have been saved if Ned didn't be so noble and stop the killing of Daenerys in the first place?
Ned is still probably my favorite character.
Ned stopped it knowing that Daenerys is not an innocent, but I mean, he looked at her like not as much of a threat. It's like, yeah, well, the true heir is known as my bastard in Winterfell, so no one's gonna ever find out about that. And
right.
He wanted Robert just to leave Daenerys alone. But he never actually gave a whole lot of motive as to why he specifically, was like, don't go after Daenerys
because she's a child.
He said, yeah,
that's why.
And that was the prime.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
He's like, she's a
a
child.
Dothraki horde, Ned, in open field.
Cut a throat. Be done with it.
Yeah, just Bobby B, baby, Bobby B.
Oh man, yeah, and then Ned going after him. I've never known somebody like you to be afraid of a little girl or something like
exactly.
that.
But he was fucking wrong.
Right.
Like he was wrong. I mean, look at her through her whole from the very beginning to the very end. She was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the same. She was just as brutal with the people that she crucified 130 or so some odd masters
Yep.
and nailed them alive, nailed them to things like like those carcasses that she saw, and she didn't do any research onto if any of them were good or not. They were just all fucking guilty because they were masters.
Well, she exhibited signs of major trauma, which is even in the first season when you see her where she has her conversations with her brother, just like he's talking about. I would let all 40,000 Dothraki and their horses, F you, fuck you, if it made me king, and she just kind of goes to this place. She goes to the Targaryen crazy place.
Oh, absolutely.
And then that place kind of just begins to take over her persona.
Well, you first see it, I think, when Khal Drogo pours the gold over Viserys' head, and she's just like, well, the dragon doesn't burn. And that look in her eye, it's almost like the first time you see that the serious Dany look that makes you go, oh my goodness, she's gonna do something terrible now.
She realizes that she hopped in that bath that was super hot and she didn't feel anything, whereas when he was taking a bath with that whore who dripped wax on him, he was like,
ow.
I couldn't stand him. Good way to kill him off, though.
I thought it was
stuff.
but like
crazy.
We're talking about season 1 right now.
Right.
Do you realize that? This is how good the writing is for those seasons that we're still talking about season 1, because the character development, the dialogue, the acting, and now we had the most expensive episodes in season 8, 6 episodes, and the only thing we could do is really tear it apart because of how it was rushed and how bad it was.
You didn't need that special effect edge. You didn't need that fan service edge with the first season. It was just trying to establish a show, and they did it so well. The very first episode introduced the mystery of the White Walkers. They didn't say anything about Night King or anything like that. They just introduced the visual. The guys were terrified, and it was beyond the wall. And that's all you needed to know. And it was, what's with these guys? I want to know more about this.
Well, I mean, it made sense that the earlier episodes were more practical, and the later episodes were more CGI, because she's got dragons and then the fights get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can only have so many people. Direwolves. You can only have so many people, and the direwolves are they can be normal dogs up until a certain point, where then you have to they have to be CGI to be bigger.
Funniest thing about what I heard is they actually had to CG in a scene with Jon petting Ghost because there was such an uproar.
I heard about that
online about how he didn't pet the goddamn dog.
that was added after the fact?
Yeah. It's so... See,
I don't know.
So lame.
I don't know. How did they add that in after the fact?
Take a look at the scenes again.
But they had one week to add that on, get Kit Harington there, grow his beard back, and how are they going to do?
No, I mean, he still has a beard, I believe, right now.
No, he went on SNL and they fucking shaved him. I just watched a Graham Norton. I don't know how old it was.
Well, that's probably one of the
I watched a Graham. So that's bullshit. They had that scene.
Fake news.
Fake news. I hate that term, but yeah, that's bullshit. I call bullshit.
All right, bullshit.
And then before Jon died, he didn't shave his beard off.
No, he didn't. But there's a lot of holes in the plot, and there's a lot of things that were left unsaid. There was a lot of I just really was looking forward to having a satisfying ending. Now, are you guys not interested in the prequel series, or does it still have your attention? Do you want to go back into watching the show, or are you gonna like step away from it for a little while?
I'll answer that in 1 second. I'm gonna go back to two things that I have started to talk about, but we've taken little exits, which normally happens in conversations with me. If anyone has ever had a conversation with me,
No one has.
But so Daenerys has shown who she was the whole time.
Yep.
The problem is, in the beginning, she was doing it to bad guys, people that were pieces of shit
Yeah.
for the most part,
Yeah.
and actually liberating people.
Yeah,
when
the
she gets to
slavers.
when she gets to Westeros, is Cersei a piece of shit? Well,
Yeah.
but are people really in bad shape?
Nope.
No. People
No.
are fine under their rule.
Right.
So there was no liberation there. That's why Dany only had fear and no love,
Well,
because
it's-
they were fine with the people in power.
It became originally it was about liberating people, like you said, right? And then it became a personal vendetta. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, the Iron Throne was personal. She believed that she deserved it no matter what. It's rightfully hers.
Yep.
But then she built in Essos. Essos wasn't really composed of kingdoms. It's more like city-states.
They were
in a
they were
way.
free states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was able just to one by one make a huge difference in that small little area that
Yeah.
Marine. What else do they know beyond Marine?
in Karth.
There is no government beyond that, She doesn't have to try to win over 7 different cities at once. It's just she has to win over Marine and, city by city get Slaver's Bay and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what helped build up her popularity and make her be known as a liberator.
Exactly.
Brutal in a way, but a liberator.
She should have just fucking stayed over there. She could have ruled that continent instead.
All of Essos would have been hers. I mean, honestly,
Right.
And,
even
like, and then
Bravos
she wouldn't even
probably.
have to worry about the friggin' Night King.
And then she could
She
make
wouldn't know.
She could make lords and things over there, make those the however many kingdoms
she wanted to break the
make.
wheel.
Yeah,
Whatever that even
she
means,
wanted
I
the
mean,
wheel. She
she's
didn't want to
point.
break the wheel. She,
She
wanted
wanted to be the
She
wheel.
wanted to be the wheel.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit too, because the whole time she's like, "This is what I've wanted my entire life." Bull fucking shit. No, it's not. You were sitting underneath your brother. He was the one that was supposed to be the dragon and the heir to the throne. You didn't know you could even get this until she took that hot bath that she didn't even know she was going to be able to handle.
Sorry. I'm just thinking about Viserion. You don't want me to wake the dragon, do you? And I'm sitting here thinking about like this like wimpy, like pasty white.
Oh, yeah.
You made the dragon angry.
His dragon is going to be the dragon from Mulan. It's just going to be this little thing, but not as cool, like not voiced by Eddie Murphy or anything. Maybe voiced by Michael Cera.
A Michael Cera voiced dragon would be pretty cool though.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be it would be a wimpy dragon. It wouldn't be having
true.
no power.
Speaking of dragons, did you guys see the third How to Train Your Dragon movie?
I have not. I want to watch the series first, though, because I believe the series is canon towards the whole storyline.
Yeah,
so
so
I
the
want to
first-
watch the series first, and then I'll watch the third
First
one.
movie comes out, and then there's the series. The series leads into the second movie, and then there's a break. There might be like a comic book or something, and then there's the third movie that came out.
So the second thing I wanted to say was
Yeah.
when Jon killed Dany, and because Dany had clearly had a mental connection
Yeah.
with Drogon.
Yep.
I was hoping that when Drogon heard him get up and come
Uh-huh.
around. I thought he was gonna burn Jon.
Yep.
And it was again.
Yeah. Not gonna.
Showed, and then he was gonna show everyone they're like, "Oh, you're a who?" And then Tyrion's gonna be like, "Yeah, R plus L equals J."
Yeah.
And
that
then
would mean something.
it would have fucking meant something.
Instead
it was
of,
one of
let's
those plot things that they
No!
just pulled the rug underneath us because
No, let's just
fuck
all
everything.
Let's just make a whole bunch of ideas and never follow through on anything and leave everything completely. No, but
I think these guys, I think DB Weiss and Benioff watched The Last Jedi and were like, "This is awesome. We should do this."
Well, all right. I gotta since we're kind of going.
Those were my points.
Yeah, whatever. Right, exactly. What our points are for the moment.
Go right ahead.
I'm gonna go down the Night King road. That if there was a moment that took me completely out of this season, it was episode 3. And once I saw Arya kill him, and the episode was over, I thought to myself, "That's it. That's all you're doing with the White Walkers. I understand Game of Thrones, all about politics. You know what? I don't give a crap. You set up these small bits of White Walkers and you make the threat enormous. Jon's coming back from the dead, for crying out loud. He's rescuing wildlings from Hardhome and, learning that Valerian steel can crush a White Walker.
Yep.
It's these small bits and some of my favorite moments. Remember when that White Walker's carrying the baby on horseback all the way up to that
Yes.
castle? The visual on that is amazing. They never give you any information as to what
Nope.
that is, and that's okay. There's mystery. But you gotta give me something like, you have built this up to be, it's like, well, he's the invention of death. So, okay, these guys might as well be the plague, just tearing through Westeros. And it's like, once they got to Winterfell, a tough battle. A lot of people died.
Yeah, man, they're a force of nature. They're a representation of death as a force of nature.
I don't
And
know if I like the force of nature thing because they're
Same
actual
here.
beings.
Right.
Like I get it, but like are beings going to just like
in literary works, they would be the representation of death. That's what they're supposed to be. It's a constant. It's something that's always going to be there and come from man, and anything that's mortal. So that's essentially what they were used as. But you can't just kill death and that be the end of it.
because I mean all the children die. If the that's why I like that they were created.
Yeah.
They were a being that were created, and that's how I can't get past.
See, I see
Like
it
I
as,
like the idea, but I don't think logistically it works.
I see it as that I would have loved it if they continued the series and then Jon goes beyond the wall and then they go to check out a wildling outpost and then they find a bunch of mutilated bodies in one of those little spiral circles again, and then it just shows that, oh shit, we didn't get them all. And then at that point it is like that representation, because without the children of the forest you can't stop them. They're just going to keep coming, essentially.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were able to present more of a power behind them, there's plenty of mystery, which was cool. You didn't know much about it, but I loved it anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing. Maybe the prequel will have some of that.
But that's the problem with it, is if it came down to, all right, we're going to do the prequels, so let's not reveal too much information in season 8 or something like that, and then, all right, we'll put our effort into the White Walker situation for the prequels. I would probably watch it because the storyline intrigues me, and
Right.
it sounds all cool, but really? You couldn't have just given me a good, satisfying White Walker ending?
Here's the thing. It's kind of akin to Solo for me. I don't give a fuck now. Like the Night King was killed. That thing was over. I don't really care. I want to hear I'd love to see the story, everything that happened in Robert's Rebellion.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking fantastic.
They're not gonna do that.
But the Night King shit, I could care less.
Wow. See, for me,
Couldn't care less.
Because because it's like
Because it
coming
doesn't
from the
mean
prequel?
anything.
Right, because you know the ending? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, it amounts to nothing.
See,
that makes sense. I get what you're saying.
For me, that doesn't necessarily matter. What matters to me is good storytelling and the ability to draw me in. And if I enjoy the universe or a world where something is set, I'm not saying suspend disbelief or anything like that, but suspend disbelief or anything. But what I'm saying is I can handle the fact of the disappointment of the ending, because I want to know more just in general. I want to see more of this world. I want to, it's like sugar-coated crack, chocolate-covered candy, that kind of stuff for me. I just want to eat it up. I don't know what it is.
I'm not saying that I won't watch it,
Right.
but I don't care
Right, because
for
like
it to get
we had
made.
the conversation about, I told you how I'm going to own the Blu-rays.
Yeah, and I won't.
You won't. I still purchase and still like physical media. I know, Pete, you do too.
I mean, I don't really purchase it these days, but I appreciate physical
Yeah.
media because that's the only way you can get like
I don't have the
bonus
space.
scenes and
Yeah,
if you have like director's commentaries, and
like
all those
the
fun
Lord of the
things.
Rings extended editions.
Yeah, they end up being about 4 hours long a piece, but
Yeah,
they're
and then
pretty
with
good.
like 11 hours of deleted scenes and extended edition stuff, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just, but that's the thing. Like, it's a Game of Thrones to me is a very adult kind of ish Lord of the Rings, and I would love to see, in the very beginning of the series, when Bran gets pushed out the window and he's laying in bed, and the old maid is laying with him. She's talking
Old
about
Nan, Nan, whatever.
and she has she's talking about like ice spiders and stuff like that. I want to see that stuff, and I'm upset that we didn't get to see that.
That's a terrible sci-fi movie as well.
Where is any of that threat that she put out there? She was talking about how the winter lasts a generation.
Yep.
Hold on. You know what? While it's on my mind, I have to jump there real quick because of this current season.
Yeah.
When does it snow and why does it snow? I have no idea. Last episode of season 7, Jamie's leaving King's Landing. There's snowflakes falling. The next season now, season 8, we go back to King's Landing. There is no snow.
Well, we kind of forgot that it was winter.
Damn it. Every time.
I was going to say, we have winter here. We're in New England, and it doesn't snow every day. So I think the fact that it had snowed in King's Landing was, this is winter, but it doesn't necessarily have to keep snowing.
Yeah, but if
it's the very beginning, so
get
like,
it, yeah.
I mean, it's like,
But
it's
if you're-
lazy, but like, I kind of like, I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
but here's the thing: if you're if you're doing something that's the representation of physical like video media, like that's the way that you're getting the information. A good way to display that it's fucking winter is to have fucking snow, especially down in King's Landing. I agree with you. It should have been, or at least, but it was like sunny.
It looked as though it was warm. No one was
did.
wearing heavy layers. Well,
Right.
John always does, no matter what.
John's
Does
that
it,
one
does
guy.
it not get sunny in the winter? Does the sun disappear?
No, but depending, obviously that
Well,
we
they
have
say
here,
it's a
but
long night, but then they
we're
kill the
closer
night king,
to the sun in the wintertime.
But
than
it
we
is
are
the
in
tilt of the earth.
It is the tilt of the Earth, but it's the combination of the two, which causes the sun to obviously have a
Well,
shorter.
this is Game
time.
of Thrones planet, though. We have no idea. What
I
they're-
know.
It's true. They have different physics
anyway-
than we do. Because look at how much damage people can take. And I don't care if they're heroes or not. When Jamie fought Euron, which was the stupidest fucking fight in the whole. Like,
Thank you.
Euron happened to wash up on shore right where Jamie Lannister was, right as he was at the same time. They showed up at the same fucking time, and he shoved a dagger that was probably 14 inches long, like 9 inches
knife.
into his side, had to have pierced at least one lung, but Jamie could continue fighting and then get stabbed again, and then walk through and find Cersei and be completely fine. She touches him, she has a little amount of blood on her hands. What the fuck?
He was going to die of those wounds no matter
Yeah,
what.
that's the whole idea.
And they
but
couldn't
still.
move 8 feet to the right where there was no rubble?
No, I mean they realized what was going to happen with the rest of the show, so they wanted to get out as soon as they could.
So I apologize. My tirade about them being able to take more damage turned into a lot more, but I had a little nerd rage there for a second.
No, it
I
happens.
mean, what about Arya getting half the fucking King's Landing fall on top of her head, and she just seems to
Yeah, I
survive.
mean-
And then there's the heavily disputed and talked about white horse that showed up, and a pale horse is death.
You
And
know how
it's
many
just
white
this-
horses there were in the show? She had a white horse.
I
There was a
know,
bunch of
it's-
fucking white
it's-
horses. It was just a white fucking horse.
I still like the literary device of a pale horse being death, but there's the thing.
It's neat.
It is neat, and it looks cool. But the thing is it was just okay. It was entertaining and it looked good, but it was not good.
No.
Right? Think of another movie that looks good but is not good. There's a few of them. I mean, I was gonna say Flash Gordon, but that would almost be
Flush.
Well, it depends on what do you define as looks good. I mean, some movies have good CGI, but usually, I mean, the lousier a movie, usually the lousier the CGI.
yeah. Sometimes, but sometimes it's just so bad that it's good. Right?
I mean, you could say something like Transformers had really impressive CGI
Right,
when
yeah,
it came out,
Transformers
but it's
movies,
not
yeah,
really
there
all
you
that
go.
great of a movie.
Isn't it so funny that whenever we talk about a bad movie that looks good, it's always
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Explosions.
Independence Day, though.
Explosions are not ideas.
Well, I mean, not all of his
Very
things were
true.
bad.
Not all of them
of
now.
course.
No, or the Fast and the Furious movies, right? They're not good movies. They're
No.
fun,
No.
entertaining.
You know what
movies.
you're getting with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
The Expendables. They're not good movies.
No.
No, but they're fun, entertaining movies.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they're very spectacle. They are spectacles in and of themselves.
Game of Thrones isn't about the spectacle. Game of Thrones is about the character that's been built, the depth of the character, the story, the plot lines, the betrayal, all that stuff, and you turn something that was supposed to be that into a Michael Bay film, and that's the problem. You are targeting one audience, and I don't want to be like one of these hipster nerds. It's like I was there from the beginning, and I watched it as it came out.
Technically, we were. but
Technically, I
nevertheless.
was, but I didn't binge watch the whole thing. I have a guy that I work with. His name is Keith, and he asks me the same questions over and over again because he binged the show so fast that he can't remember it all. And I'm like, Keith, you have to watch it slow. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you watch it too quick, things are gonna get lost. You're gonna come in and ask me 1,000 questions, and I got work to do. It's funny.
Well, did that happen in season 2 or in season 3? If you watch it all that fast,
it all blends together.
Yep.
Right. That's why I'm doing one episode a night. I'm on episode 5 right now
Of season 1.
of season 1.
Cool.
And
Very cool.
I-
Robert's still alive, and
Robert's
Ned's still alive. and-
Yeah, John Aaron's protege who became knighted just died from the mountain in the jousting match.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yep.
Speaking of the mountain, the Clegane Bowl.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of people that were happy with the Clegane Bowl. I myself am not happy with the Clegane Bowl.
I like Clegane Bowl.
I like at all. It won on a fucking stairwell. I didn't like that.
He had the high ground.
The mountain had the high ground, and it started off
Yep.
the mountain protecting Cersei from a bunch of rubble falling on him, and
Yeah.
like I thought, all right, cool, this is gonna give Sandor
Yep.
a little bit of ground so he can do some damage.
But what about Qyburn getting his brain knocked out of his head?
That was fantastic.
That was so fucking cool.
It was
I don't
literally about a
consider-
second. You know.
I don't consider that actually a part of the Clegane Bowl because they hadn't started
Right,
fighting.
right.
And the and
like the opening ceremonies.
right, that's the opening. That was the opening ceremonies, and the opening act
The bell
was
got wrong.
was the Hound mowing through four of the
Yeah.
Kingsguard.
The Queen's Guard.
The
Yeah,
Queen's
I think
Guard.
like 4 or 5 guys.
Like yeah, just
plowed right through 'em.
right through them. Fantastic.
He
but
really is the only character though that got a satisfying conclusion.
but the fact that nothing happened to the mountain until he was
so
pushed up
annoying.
was such bullshit. Anywhere he stabbed him so many times, even in the eye, all that did was make
Through
him
his head.
Now,
Civil- like, right.
is the mountain able to be controlled by the Night King?
The mountain. No,
Are you sure?
the Night King's dead.
Well, yeah, but would he have been?
No.
Well, the mountain's not dead.
Oh, he has conscious thought though. So yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah, Jamie insulted him in one episode, and he looks at him real
Yeah.
quick. You know.
Do you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that obviously because he's a monster anyway, but the guy who plays the mountain, half Thor Bjornsson,
Yeah.
he actually was physically holding Sandor Clegane.
Yes.
He was like literally every second that you see him being held up, that's actually the mountain really holding the man.
Well, that sword that the mountain used was too heavy for anyone on set other than Half Thor.
weighs 50 pounds.
No kidding,
Like,
really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's nuts.
And he wields it with one hand.
Easily.
Well,
easily.
He's the world's
He's
strongest
a
man.
monster.
Right, he's a monster, but he hasn't always been a monster. When he was 18, he was like taller than me, but like my size.
That's funny. Isn't it?
Like ridiculous. But I mean, the fact that nothing affected him, like
Yeah, the
getting
dagger
stabbed
to
in
the
the shoulder,
brain.
like I mean, his muscles, he might be able to take handle the damage to like stay alive, but his muscles and shit should act like
His
normal.
ligaments. Like
So-
if that's the whole, yeah, exactly. If you're in a fight against a monster like that, right? And you're fighting against a monster like that, and you end up actually like cutting their Achilles tendon or whatever in their legs. Next thing you know that thing is coming down. Even elephants, right?
Right.
It's the whole idea. But yeah, if he should have like resulted in like his arm dropping. I understand it's high fantasy and it's blah 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 blah.
That yeah, but
it's
still,
if you don't
they
make
made
it so stupid, but there has to be some element of realism for you to buy in.
they already made that in the episode of with the Viper.
Yes.
Oberyn cuts his Achilles, he cuts his calf, and he goes down one knee.
Right.
They've already designed. They put this physics in there.
What season
and
was that?
shit, huh?
4. That's 4, right?
For what?
That's season 4 that happened.
Yeah, season 4, which was the best season.
Yeah.
And they've already set up those physics. So to change that, I'm okay if he can survive and he could be laying there
Right.
like with no legs and be going because I look at him as a zombie mountain now.
Yeah.
So that would be fine. But for the damage, why fucking wear armor then?
Yeah, what's the point?
He's more intimidating as a zombie mountain than he is wearing all that armor with that weird ass stupid helmet.
Yeah,
that kind of reminded me of that.
Shredder, but
it kind of reminded me of that character in the He-Man cartoon with he had the Q on him, whatever his face name, but his hat went over his face and it like eye holes.
Yeah,
it reminded me of that.
I didn't really care for the Queen's Guard and for those helmets. You know, aesthetically, if we're talking about specific, you know, the look of the soldiers, I've always really, I always really dug the Lannister armor. I thought it was the coolest.
Especially
your favorite out of all of them. I was just about to ask
especially
you,
after
what's
it was
the most
Cersei.
appealing.
Yeah, although it would have been super cool to see Targaryen armor, because have you ever seen the fan art of Jon Snow in the Targaryen armor?
No, I have not.
If you got, I'll see if I can't find it. It really is super awesome, and I don't know. I'm disappointed. I'm still a huge fan, but it just seems like, you know, that when it really comes down to it, that Disney really is so evil that they'll just destroy other franchises for their own personal gain. And this is a perfect example of why I hate Disney. This is all Disney's fault.
This is not Disney's fault. This
Disney's
is Benioff and
No,
DB Weiss.
This is Mickey Mouse.
Well,
Mickey Mouse. What? No.
Mickey Mouse is in Asgard right now.
They're not going to do that when.
Fear me.
Was I want you to fuck up Game of Thrones.
You're gonna destroy their franchise.
I want you to make that dragon show end horribly.
They are. Can you have a monopoly on entertainment content in Hollywood? I don't know if it's possible, but
I think they're
shooting for it.
They really are, and there's something to be said about that. I know this is my every time podcast Tim hates Disney moment. I want to be clear that I don't hate Disney's products or the things that they put out. What I dislike is their, I guess you could say, their capitalist sort of drive. I'm not saying I don't think capitalism's bad, folks. Capitalism is a good thing. What I dislike is the lack of competition, and that's what true capitalism is.
Especially within this, the entertainment industry,
Right.
is that there's a lot of good films and content that come out from either small production companies or sometimes independent filmmakers, and they have different types of festivals in which those people can kind of get their work out there.
Yeah.
But it's all dominated by those major motion picture companies that no matter what, they're gonna they control it all. In other words, you could compare it to the music industry in a way where, you know, small bands don't get enough recognition and they're really, really good.
Right.
Could go the same for some movies.
Well, it's this. You are right, because, and then you have a director who does these indie movies, and then they throw them in front of,
The multi-million-dollar project where
Yeah.
like they had like their last project spent like it was like $50,000 and now they're in charge of like a $2.5 million
Right.
movie or whatever. But the problem with competition is that like
or lack of.
is the fan base and shit like this. Things need to be canon. They need to go. So if you're opening up competition, that was the biggest gripe like Marvel fans had with the movies, is the fact that the rights were spread out. And it's been celebrated now that it's reunited.
I would love it if it
Oh,
was all
for the
under,
sake of a specific franchise, that makes total
Right.
sense.
Right,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
Yes.
That's why it comes back to like the Blade series, right? That was Marvel owning its own rights and doing its own movie with Blade, you know.
Right.
And that's actually another example of Wesley Snipes is Blade, because Blade in the comic books is a totally different dude. Like, just the way he acts, the way he dresses, the way he talks, everything. Wesley Snipes is Blade. And to me, he will. That's the vision.
I love Blade.
Yeah, me too. That's the vision I see. But what I'm trying to get at a roundabout way is if Marvel truly had total control. I understand that Disney owns the Marvel Studios, and I understand that it's all under one roof now, which is great. But if it was the original people who created it specifically had control of the studio and all its rights, I would agree with you there. But I just think that Disney I don't know. They try to stretch. They try to get a buck out of everything. I'm not saying that's wrong, but when you do that, you lose the integrity somewhat of the material that you're working with.
All right. So I mean, yeah,
I love how we always back on Disney. That's my fault.
I agree.
We like talking about it.
I would prefer that it just be Marvel and Marvel alone.
Okay.
But being that it's not that,
Right.
I'm not overly concerned that it's Disney that owns it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I didn't mean to I didn't even think of Marvel, the MCU being just the MCU by itself and not just be cinematic universe, be like Marvel Studios.
Right.
You know, I'm a much more candidate. I prefer that.
Advocate for that.
Yeah, advocate. Yeah, thank you.
So Disney owns Lucasfilm, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've got that covered. They own Marvel Entertainment,
Yep.
which obviously includes the cinematic universe. So they have basically anything that falls under that umbrella they have covered.
Right.
And Lucasfilm, actually, as I'm reading right here,
They have
it looks
Indiana
like they
Jones.
want to put out a 5th Indiana Jones. And yeah, with Harrison Ford, no less. They'll probably try to kill him off in it or something like that.
Are they gonna have Shia in this one too?
I would hope not. I would hope not.
Hey, you know what's funny? So my buddy Mike and I at work, we were doing an installation at a house, and there was a little kid toy.
Yeah.
It was like an action figure. It was Shia from one of the Transformers movies.
Oh, that's fun.
And
Shia
like
LaBeouf.
it's turned into this thing that we referenced to today. This probably happened like 5 years ago. Like we referenced it today. Like, you know, oh, we wish Shia was here because we had that little Shia. It's just stupid.
That is funny and dumb, but it's
It's
very
very
funny.
dumb.
No, I don't know. That's the problem, right? So they have Indiana Jones. They have all Lucasfilm. Yeah, I mean, you kind of control a message too in a way.
Industrial Light and Magic. Sorry, I had to throw that in
No,
there. That's the
yeah.
special effects company.
Yep.
They own that as well.
And it's again, it's not that I dislike their stuff. I guess I've heard actual rumors that the Aladdin film is pretty good, and I'm surprised, honestly. I just don't.
Did it come out yet?
Yeah, some people, it's a special screening. It's getting decent reviews. And another movie that I was excited for that's not getting great reviews and doesn't have a great Rotten Tomato score is Brightburn, which was the Superman kind of.
Is that because people can't really wrap their head around a bad Superman?
it might
like,
be,
like
yeah.
because that's going to be the reason why I absolutely fucking love the movie.
Yeah.
Is because then I was so disappointed when I got I got the comic Superman Under the Red Sun because he lands in Russia, Soviet Russia. He's going to be a bad guy. No, he's still a fucking Boy Scout, and like despite his upbringing, he's still a good guy. And
But whole
I didn't
world is underneath communist rule by is Superman.
But Superman does not like Mother Russia.
So ridiculous.
That would be a riot.
I have it. If you want to borrow it, you
I
can
mean,
read it.
it would be.
I've read the
Did they
comics.
ever do something like a? Well, you have Captain America. Did they ever do like a Captain Soviet Union or something like
Captain
that?
Hydra.
They did Captain, yeah, but that was the people got all upset
more like
because
fascist, though.
he said they had Cap go Hail Hydra,
Yeah.
and everyone was like,
Yeah.
and then it was fine because it was.
See, I was getting
fine.
worked up
and
at
then they
that.
nodded it up to that in the.
I thought there was going to be
Endgame.
another another fight in the elevator scene, and I was getting excited. I was like, "Oh man!"
I was, but him leaning over and going Hail Hydra was just awesome. It's like I've already been here. I know how it works. I don't want to do this right now.
Right. But it was cool. It's cool. Well, you know, that's. I mean, we got most of our gripes out. Do you guys feel better now that we've had our turns on the couch, so to speak, about where Game of Thrones, hurt us?
I yelled a lot. This was a good therapy session, I think. I'm still angry at all those things, but I think I feel more at peace with them.
Do yourself a favor and watch the series for number 1 from episode 1.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
series?
Game of Thrones.
Oh,
I'm looking
I've
forward.
done that a million times.
I'm looking forward beyond Game of Thrones now. It's done.
Okay.
Yes, Star Wars is coming out the end of the year.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty cool too. But I'm looking next to
I know what
the
you mean.
next Godzilla movie. We
Yeah.
just saw John Wick 3.
Yeah.
I
Fantastic.
still have to see that.
Yep, just wanted to
'cause,
throw that in.
My invitation got lost in the mail or something.
I think you had your boys.
No, I was
Yeah, that's
busy.
what it was,
I
yeah.
busy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you got the new Godzilla coming out. I'm
Yep.
really excited about it. You guys know me, love
Oh,
monster
dude,
movies,
I
and it
know you,
looks
yeah.
insane.
I think that's a good idea for Man Day this year.
Yes.
Go
Go see Godzilla.
There we go.
see Godzilla.
Also, Stranger Things season 3.
No, it's Stranger Things 3. Get it right.
Oh, my bad. Anyway, coming out July 4th, and that's really not that far away. I mean, we're at the end of May.
Seriously.
Also, I wanted to say, if she's listening, I hope she does, happy birthday to my sister Kristen. I'm not going to say how old she is. She's older than me, though. And I just hope she has a good, happy birthday.
Yeah, we also want to wish our fellow nerd bro and the gentleman that was just talking a happy belated birthday because his birthday was a few days ago.
Birthday, dude.
Oh, thanks, guys.
No problem.
I would also like to again we've mentioned him before, but I want to thank him again. Ronald Jenkees, check him out on Instagram and iTunes and Apple, wherever you get your fucking music. He's fantastic, and he's given us
Awesome
permission
stuff.
to use his music on our podcast, and all the music that you've heard through here in the intro and in the background is all Ronald Jenkees. So just want to
He's awesome. He's a
check
really
him out.
great guy.
He's got a Patreon account too, so log on to Patreon, check out Ronald Jenkees, and give you support.
And better yet, please like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of those social media platforms. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm evil for thinking Disney's evil. Let me know what you think about the Game of Thrones, how it ended. Are you happy? Are you happy that the Stark children got, their comeuppance, I guess you could say? Were you unhappy about how Cersei got off scot-free? In my personal opinion, I wanted to see her go down in the way of kind of like Jalen Ramsey, whatever his name is.
We're gonna go down the rabbit hole if we start right
I would
now.
have been totally cool if Sandor also mowed her down
That'd
too,
be
like
great.
chopped her right in half too, and like I fucking killed your queen. What are you gonna do now?
Exactly. Well, but everybody, please, if you get the chance, listen to us. We got some great material going to be coming out. We're going to have some short stories, some D&D one-shot adventure that we're going to have. It's going to be a bunch of small episodes run together. We're also going to have some videos coming out, some painting tutorials. Follow me in my journey of becoming a better miniature painter and dungeon terrain builder.
And that goes right hand in hand with our D&D podcast that he just
Absolutely.
alluded to. Our first season is going to be coming out probably within the month, I would say.
Ooh, all right.
I would hope.
What are you rolling again? You're rolling a barbarian?
Yes, I am a half-orc barbarian.
Ooh.
Yes,
Ooh.
under the bear claw totem.
Oh, nice.
Yes. But anyway, that's going to be a season all by itself. We are going to be using minis in that Tim himself has painted.
That's right.
It is called Role Play Battle Tested, featuring battle tested minis.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Pete, do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
No, not really.
All right.
No, I'm not involved with a whole lot other than this, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
So Pete says, hit us up.
Yeah, learn to play an instrument.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There you
get into music. Music is awesome.
Support
If you can't go for it.
Support your local animal shelters and have your pets spayed and neutered. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon next time at Nerd Bros.
Peace.
Peace.
That's funny.